I don't have my tripod today, I'm sorry guys. I'm making do with boxes and encyclopedias. Welcome back to another episode of Get Ready With Me for Supanova Saint Soaps edition. So today I will be making a grass type Pokemon soap. I know, many people have been demanding this edition of a soap. So I was like a bit concerned because I was like, there are a lot of Pokemon, so who am I gonna make a soap of? So I was actually like talking to my sister the other day even, and she's like, yeah, in like the first generation of Pokemon, there's like almost 200 Pokemon, and I'm like, and that's just the first generation. And then there's X, Y, Z, Ruby, Amethyst, Rose, Diamond, Sun, Moon, Stars. I don't know the additions, sorry. So I decided to go with a grass Pokemon for this soap, and when this soap is available at Supanova, Sydney Supanova 2019, there will actually be two other Pokemon themed products, a water type and a fire type, an element type. Pokemon in the range, so you can see those at Supanova. They won't actually be a cold process soap like this one, but they will be a different like body product type. You might get a sneak peek of them on my Instagram over the coming weeks, who knows. I'm very excited to share this video with you because this is the first time I tried the technique that I used for making this soap, and so when I cut it for the first time and recorded it on camera, that's the first time I saw what happened as well. So we're both in this together this time. So I'm glad it wasn't a fail, but you know, things happen sometimes, but this one wasn't one of those instances. It was a good learning experience first time around. So without further ado, we'll get into that video and I hope you enjoy. Hopefully not splashing oil everywhere. We know what I'm like. Tend to get a little, what do you call it? Like a little over enthusiastic, I guess. So obviously filming in a different location this time, so I'm just trying to experiment again, lots of experimentation, seeing if where I'm filming is a better location. I know that the lighting's not always the best, but hey, gotta make do with what you got. So we want to make sure that all of the lye water and the oils are mixed together and that it's not going to be a separate or a false trace. So you can still see that it's still a lot of still very oily looking. I know that some people, depending on the oils that they use, you can get different colored, I'd say like a base color, you know, it could be, you know, not really, I don't think I've ever seen anyone get like a pure bright white. That's why we use, you know, titanium dioxide when we color soap white. But yeah, you get different colors, base colors, so you might get a nice cream, a light cream. Some people do get a bit more of a yellowy base color, and that's just the oils that we use, that's all. It's not a big deal or anything much different. Okay, so I kind of did use my blender a little bit. I know that I wouldn't, but it just wasn't like, I wanted to make sure it was mixed. So I just pulsed it a little bit in there, but it's still really liquidy. And so we're going to try and keep that consistency, because what we're going to do is, I have all of these pieces. It's really cool. This is like a small 5 kilo bucket, and I have 2 buckets, this one and another one, full of these. These are actually pieces of cold processed soap, which I have cut up into these thin little pieces. Oops, lose that one. These thin little pieces, and I love how they turned out. I used like a big marbling technique when I poured it, and so these are lime green, like fluoro green, and a beautiful blue color. So that's mixed together, and so this is going to be the grass type Pokemon, of course. So I figured, of course, blue does, you know, equate to water and green grass, but I did need some contrast in there, and I didn't just want to make just like a completely plain green. So we're going to make a different color green in here. So we're going to see how this green turns out, because I've already mixed it together here, and I have mixed black mica with green fluoro powder, and so it's going to be hopefully a bit of a darker green, but still have that kind of complementary color in there, because, well, black complements both blue and green, but also because it's got the fluoro green in there, it will be hopefully like an underlying tone that we can see come out. So we're gonna see how it turns out. We're gonna add it in, and we're just gonna mix it in. It's already been mixed with some oil. And so, ooh, look at that. And so that's to help it become, you know, a lot more fluid and hopefully blend easier, so that I don't have to use the stick blender. So the idea about not using the stick blender is that stick blender will help mix it all together super fast, but I guess if you want to say like the friction or whatever of the blades moving means that it also helps accelerate it. It thickens it a lot quicker. So we don't want it thick too quick, because this needs to be liquid, because we're going to pour a little bit along the bottom of the mold first, and then we're going to be putting these sticks in standing upright. And so when we cut it, we're gonna have a really cool, kind of like, if you want to say like reminiscent of the blades of grass that you see in the lawn and things like that. So it's gonna be a grass Pokemon. That's what we're aiming for. So it's not based on a specific Pokemon itself, but it's more so the type. Oh, I'm really happy with how this color has turned out. It looks really cool. Yeah, it pretty much looks the same on the monitor. I'm just looking at the screen. Basically looks the same, and it's still really liquidy, which I'm glad, because I was struggling a little bit with my last couple of soaps, as I'm sure we've seen in a few of the other videos. Sometimes, you know, things quicken up too thickly or whatever, and you just gotta like make do. So you make it work, figure out a way around it. Okay, so for the fragrance, I already have fragrance in these sticks. So these are fragranced with cranberry and fig, and we're going to also fragrance the base with the same fragrance. So this fragrance, even though like I got it cranberry and fig because it was quite contrasting, you know, you got your cranberry, which is quite tart, sweet but tart, and then you got your fig, which is very sweet and kind of moreish almost. Now I know that a lot of people will be like, oh, what the heck, how's that going to be like related to like grass Pokemon? But the thing is that surprisingly with this fragrance, it's not very sweet at all, but it smells sweet, but it's actually really fresh smelling, surprisingly. Like, it's really weird almost. So I almost kind of felt it kind of smelled like when you step outside into the country and, you know, the wind is blowing, it's early morning, and you take a big deep breath of fresh air and you go, oh, this is the life. Well, I don't know, people probably do that, I don't, but it kind of reminded me of like fresh air. And so I thought, you know, the country grass, the forest, nature, that kind of thing. That's why I thought maybe that this fragrance would be really cool to go with that. So I kind of really like it. It's not, even though it's called cranberry and fig, oh my gosh, cranberry and fig. It's not actually super sweet at all. It actually smells very refreshing, like I mentioned. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna grab our mold and we're going to pour a little bit of this in. Actually, we'll see how much we need to pour in, and then we will start inserting the sticks of soap from there. Okay, here's the mold. Okay, so let's get rid of that. So, oh yeah, the lip's okay. So we're gonna pour some of this in. See how much. Woo. I actually prepared a second mold because I actually wasn't too sure, like we can see that it fills up like a decent part, I guess, of the soap. Let's just make sure these edges are okay. So that's like really liquidy. Oops, hope this works out. And then I'm gonna go through and start, like I told you guys, like I have got so many of these, like, so hopefully I'm going to start sticking these upright and just jam them in, you know, as many as we can. I actually might be able to fill up the rest of it because, well, it's starting to thicken a little bit, which is cool. Because I don't mind these sticking out. I want these kind of like, whatever, the whole thing's going in all at once. Woo! And what I'll do quickly is scrape that out. So we're not doing a high top. This is going to be a low top soap. So because these the sticks of soap that are going to be poking out, they're going to be like the accents on top. So we'll decorate it a bit with some glitter and some shimmer maybe. We'll see how we feel afterwards. But yeah, we're going to go from there. Going to see how we go with this. But I didn't feel like I wanted to do every single soap for Supanova as high tops because, yeah, you know, just a bit of variety. And again, I didn't quite feel like it went with this soap. Yeah, this is like a really light trace, so we'll see how this goes. So I can see that these ones here, because obviously these are quite short compared to the height of the container, they're not going to like come up all the way to the top. So these are just gonna poke out. I don't really mind. Like, I'll go through, some of them will sink, some of them will be, I don't know, a little bit taller. I don't know why exactly, they should all be the same. But we're gonna go through and kind of set all these up. And it's okay if they're a bit crowded because we've got plenty of these to go around. Okay, so I've just finished putting all of the sticks of soap in. It probably took me about like 10 minutes or something. Now, of course, me being me, you know how I was like, oh, what the heck, all of the liquid's gonna go in. I knew that putting the sticks in would actually increase the volume so that it would push the liquid out. But I was silly and I should have just left some to the side. So I do have some left over in a bucket here, so I'm going to be making other soap out of them, like smaller batches. And so it actually took me a little bit. I had to kind of scrape some out. My gloves are like a complete mess right now. Had to scrape some out, but I managed to push them all down in. I can kind of see some of them coming through the sides, but I'm really happy with like how the color came out. I was a bit nervous with that base color. I didn't want it to be too contrasting to the lime green and the blue, but I obviously wanted to stick with the grass theme, you know, the Pokemon type. Ooh. And here is the close-up of the soap. So I don't have a name yet for this grass type Pokemon soap, but if you've got any suggestions, like, let me know. Maybe I'll do like a little competition for it. So you can see all of the, I kind of like the look of it on top. To be honest, this kind of looks like dragon scale. Like, can you see it? It's kind of like, looks like scales. I don't know, anyway. So those are all the sticks. I just put a little bit of silver biodegradable glitter on top. You kind of can see it like there. Look at that. You can see the sticks going down. Some of them kind of like slanted. Doesn't really matter to me, but there are so many in there, as you can see by the tops of that. But yeah, I'm really excited with how this turned out. I think it looks gorgeous. Okay, so it's been probably about 5 days since we made the earth type, grass type Pokemon soap, and so I've unmolded it. We're about to slice it. So this is what the top looks like, and here's the side, so we can see it a lot more clearly where we've got all the pieces like sticking in. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how this turns out. Wait, is that gonna focus again? Hello, focus. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out my trusty knife and, you know, cutter machine thingy. And so what we're gonna do, I think that this end, we can't really see it, it goes a bit off camera. This end has, the pieces aren't showing through the top as much on this end, so that'll probably be the last part that we cut, because usually there's like a little off cut on the end, and I usually keep that either to give it to somebody as a gift, like as a sample when they buy a big order, or even if you buy a small order, sometimes you might find a surprise in that. Or if the pieces are big enough, whoa, like, why is this like kind of jammed? Is it jammed? No, it just went straight to the bottom, I didn't realize. Or I do a sale, like kind of like once a year, and it's kind of like where all the offcuts and the odd pieces will get sold, or if there's like one-offs left over from a collection, I usually put them all up for sale, like obviously at a reduced price. So let's, oh, I'm so excited, I'm a bit scared. All right, I need the towel. Use the towel on the end just because pushing down, you need a bit of pressure, and the palm of your hand tends to kind of hurt a little bit. So we'll see how we go. The knife's in, it's too late. Hit the bottom. So what I like to make sure too when I'm cutting is not to like seesaw the knife like back and forth, because otherwise it can leave marks sometimes. Woo! Alright, so this is the look, first look at the inside of the grass type Pokemon soap. It looks pretty cool. I like how the color really stands out there, and obviously because they were all at like different angles, you get you know, bits and pieces of it showing through, because they're all large 6 pieces. We all saw it. So yeah, this is the piece. It's obviously an M piece, so I'll cut another piece. And there's the top. It's cool, and it smells nice and subtle. All right, excited. Still another one. Another. Isn't that what Thor says when he like smashes the coffee mug on the ground? Another. Bring me another. Oh, now I'm thinking of Reinhardt from Overwatch. They both got accents, right? Alright, making sure that I clean the knife in between each cut, because that way there's no residue from the last cut when I cut down the top. doesn't leave anything on the way through. This one is pretty much, the soap is like all the same throughout the whole thing, so there's not too much of a care, I guess, that I'm going to accidentally mix colors or anything, but it's easier for me than afterwards not to have to like kind of clean it up. Oh my gosh, look at it. Is that in focus? Yeah, I think it is. Sorry, I forgot to tilt my screen up so I could see it a bit better. So sometimes you just get the little pieces of the edges. I'm going to be cleaning that up afterwards as I wipe it on the bench. Sorry. Yeah, so that's side 1. Side 2. Oh my gosh. Guys,